I am Shunichi Tahara. In our laboratory, we are developing a dialogue system. Today, I will present a study to increase your engagement using Empathic dialogue system. Recently, dialogue systems like Google Home and Siri have been widely deployed. These systems are able to answer simple questions and chat with users. However, this system lacks the ability to express emotions in dialogues. Therefore, the user engagement toward this system is limited. In order to increase your engagement, we generate a system utterance with empathy for the user utterance. First, let me introduce a related study about empathic dialogue systems. In the early studies, empathic dialogue system can utilize back channels or fixed phrase. These are examples. These approaches are effective for increase your empathy. However, they were applied to limited domain dialogues, such as counseling or interviews. So in open domain dialogues, these approaches are inapplicable. There are a variety of topics such as sports or music. So it is boring for system to generate back channels or fixed phrase. The characteristic of open conversation is lengthy dialogues. If the system generates back channels or fixed phrase, it slows conversation down. Therefore, more flexibility is required for system utterance. First, let me introduce about a base system without empathy. The system converses with your user. System converses with users about news and generates utterance by selecting tweets related to the news. The figure below shows overview of base system. Number one is the select news article, and number two, correct tweet related to the news. And number three, start a dialogue by creating utterance from the news title. Number four is a user utterance. And number five is a select one tweet. Second, we will explain about proposed system based on base system. A system generates a human-like utterance based on observed emotions in the user utterance. After number two, clarifies all tweets into three emotional categories: positive, negative, and neutral. And after number four, clarifies the user utterance into one of three emotional categories. So in number five, select a tweet with specific emotional categories. But we don't know what type of emotions the system should express against observed user emotions. So we made a hypothesis. When the system creates utterance from tweet that contains the same emotions as the user utterance, the degree of empathy is increased. So we conduct a preliminary experiment to contain our hypothesis. We prepare for our dialogues created from tweets related to 28 news. Namely, we prepare all positive nine contributions of category of tweets and create 45 dialogues. And we asked 64 participants to list the dialogues and answer the degree of empathy, -3 to 3 for each dialogues. I'll show the results. When the user utterance is positive and negative, the mean of empathy is the highest when the system responses in the same emotional categories. When the user utterance is neutral, there is no significant difference among three conditions, positive, negative, neutral, in system utterance. So we ask the same participants to raise the degree of empathy for the back-channel approach. And in this case, the observed mean degree of empathy was the highest in three emotional categories and back-channel approach. So we defined the method to select tweets in accordance with user utterance as follows this table. To evaluate the effectiveness of empathy in the proposed method on real system, we designed an experiment. We recruited 64 participants from a staffing company. So in experiment, participants use text-based smartphone chat applications. Look at the figure on the right. One dialogue consists of 5 utterances and stands from a system title utterance and is followed by 2 sets of user utterance and system response. We use a 28 news article distributed by Yahoo Japan. And we compare 3 conditions. Each participant chats with following 3 methods. First, the back-channel method. Randomly selects the system utterance from 5 back-channels such as OK or right. And second, random method, which created an utterance from randomly selected tweet related to the news topics. Third is the proposed method. So we've defined measurement based on existing studies. After each dialogue is completed, we ask the participants to answer a questionnaire about the degree of empathy. We get 7 grade as answers from -3 to 3. And I show the results. The first one is the mean degree of participant empathy for each method. The random method is the highest in 3 methods. In order to clarify the characteristic of each method, we investigated the relations between user emotions and degree of empathy in each method. The second one is the mean degree of empathy when 2 successive user attempts in one dialogue were clarified into the same emotional category. As a result of the second table, when the user attempts is clarified into positive or negative, the mean degree of empathy is the highest. On the other hand, when the user attempts are clarified into neutral, the mean degree of empathy is the lowest. So we discussed the reason why the mean degree of empathy was highest when the user attempts is clarified into either positive or negative. Let me introduce some example of dialogue with high degree of empathy in the proposed method. The news topic is about a public announcement of the Tokyo Olympic emblems. From these examples, user consider to feel empathy to the system since the system expresses the same emotions as the users. And we discussed the reason why the mean degree of empathy was lowest when the user utterance is clarified into neutral. There were negative opinions such as conversation isn't established due to back channels. This is an example of dialogue with low degree of empathy in the proposed method. The participant C says neutral utterance and the system response with back channels. In this dialogue, since the system only generates back channels, the participants became skeptical whether the system truly understands their utterance. And in the preliminary experiment, back-channel approach is the highest in the back channels and 3 emotional categories. However, when the system generates a back channels in a long dialogue, the conversation became non-interactive. As the result, the user motivations to chat with the dialogue system goes down. So let me conclude my presentations. We propose the empathic dialogue system that responds to user based on their observed emotions in the dialogue related to the news. When the user utterance was clarified into positive or negative, the degree of empathy in the proposed method was the highest. So, thank you.
Any questions?
So you looked at the system's emotional response to see whether it was similar or different to the users. Did you look at the object to which the emotion was expressed? So for example, if the user says, "I don't like cold," and the system responds with a negative emotion towards something else, not the cold, but something else. Or the user says, "I don't like the Olympics emblem," and the system says, "I don't like the crowds during the Olympics." So it's the same emotion, but the object of the emotion is different. Have you looked at whether that makes a difference?
Yeah, sorry, is this slide? No?
Yeah, in this slide, or you also had a future slide where you were talking about the Olympic emblem?
Olympic, yeah.
So in the first example, right, the system's positive emotion is for the emblem, the same thing that the user is talking about.
Yes.
But what if the system had a positive response, but to a different thing, maybe different aspect of the Olympics? Would that make a difference?
Yeah. The user utterance is clarified into the positive, this, and so the system utterance, the system randomly selected the tweet into the positive category groups. So yeah, that is right.
There was a question here.
Gregorio Convertino, Google. I was wondering, what application were you thinking of for this technology? So what kind of uses do you think of?
Yeah, I think a target user is a lot of users from children to senior, and we plan to develop the applications and forward news the dialogue about the news dialogue and other yes, we consider the one is sorry, news only. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I think we can go for the banquet. It is at